The medical bay of the Celestial Convergence Station hummed with the sterile efficiency of 1,000 worlds united under one banner. Dr. Kelthera, chief physician of the Xenobiology Wing, stood before the incubation chamber with her 4 arms crossed in resignation. Inside, a tiny Kaveth infant, no larger than a human fist, struggled for breath, its translucent skin flickering between pale blue and gray. "There is nothing more to be done," Kelthera announced to the assembled medical team. Her voice carried the weight of 3 decades of interstellar medicine. "The infant's respiratory system is incompatible with our atmospheric processors. We've tried 17 different gas mixtures. None have worked." Around her, doctors from 6 different species nodded in solemn agreement. The Draxian surgeon retracted his optical sensors. The Velian immunologist's bioluminescent patterns dimmed in sorrow. They had all reached the same conclusion. The baby would not survive the night. All except Nora Chen. The human nurse stood at the back of the group, her jaw set in that peculiar way humans had when they refused to accept reality. She was small compared to most species on the station, barely reaching Kelthera's midsection. But there was something in her eyes that made the senior physician pause. "Permission to speak, doctor," Nora said, her voice steady. Kelthera's secondary eyelids blinked in surprise. "Nurse Chen, this matter has been decided by physicians far more experienced than—" "With respect, doctor, it hasn't been decided by the baby." Nora stepped forward, her tablet clutched in both hands. "I've been reviewing the atmospheric composition data. We've been approaching this wrong." A ripple of disbelief passed through the medical team. The Velian doctor's patterns flashed an indignant crimson. "Nurse, we have computational models that—" "Your models are based on adult Kaveth physiology," Nora interrupted, pulling up a holographic display. "But infant Kaveth don't develop their primary respiratory organs until 3 weeks after birth. Right now, this baby is breathing through vestigial gills, like human babies can trigger a dive reflex. Look at the ancestral data." Kelthera leaned forward, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her skepticism. The data Nora had compiled was unconventional. The human had somehow accessed archaeological records from Kaveth Prime, comparing the station's atmospheric processors with the ancient oceans where Kaveth ancestors had evolved. "This is theoretical," Kelthera said, though her tone had softened. "We don't have equipment to create such an environment." Nora's lips curved into a small smile. "Actually, we do. We have a hydrotherapy tank in the rehab wing. If we adjust the mineral content and dissolved gases to match the primordial Kaveth ocean composition, it might work." "Might?" The Draxian surgeon's vocal synthesizer crackled with derision. "You would risk the infant's remaining hours on might?" "I would risk everything on might," Nora replied, her voice suddenly fierce. "Because giving up guarantees death. Trying gives us a chance." Kelthera studied the human nurse. She had heard stories about humans, about their irrational optimism, their stubborn refusal to accept defeat, their bizarre tendency to fight against impossible odds. Most species considered it an evolutionary flaw, a remnant of their violent past. But standing here, watching Nora's unwavering determination, Kelthera wondered if perhaps it was something else entirely. "You have 2 hours," Kelthera said finally. "If the infant's condition deteriorates further, we stop." Nora didn't wait for second permission. She was already moving. Jack Morrison, the station's maintenance engineer, was 3 levels deep in a plasma conduit when his communicator chirped. Nora's voice crackled through, urgent and breathless. "Jack, I need you in hydrotherapy. Now, bring your molecular synthesizer." 20 minutes later, Jack stood in the rehab wing, covered in coolant fluid and looking distinctly confused. "You want me to turn a therapy tank into—" "What, exactly?" An ancient alien ocean, Nora said, pulling up the chemical specifications. Can you do it? Jack scratched his beard, studying the data. Most species would have balked at the complexity, declared it impossible with available resources. But Jack was human, and humans had a peculiar relationship with the word impossible. Yeah, he said slowly. Yeah, I can do this. It's going to be ugly, and I'm pretty sure I'm violating about 40 safety protocols, but do it, Nora said. For the next 90 minutes, Jack worked with the focused intensity that had made human engineers legendary across the galaxy. He rerouted mineral processors, jerry-rigged atmospheric scrubbers, and synthesized compounds that technically shouldn't have been possible with standard station equipment. Nora worked beside him, monitoring the infant's vital signs as they dropped steadily lower. Cutting it close, Jack muttered, making final adjustments. Story of our species, Nora replied. When Kelthera arrived at the designated time, she found the therapy tank transformed. The water glowed with a faint phosphorescence, and the air above it shimmered with exotic gases. Nora stood beside the incubation chamber, the dying infant cradled carefully in her arms. If this fails, Kelthera began. It won't, Nora said with that infuriating human certainty. She lowered the infant into the water. For a long moment, nothing happened. The baby sank slightly, its weak movements barely disturbing the liquid. Kelthera's heart sank. Another human failure. Another. The infant's skin suddenly blazed brilliant blue. Its vestigial gills flared open, drawing in the ancient water. The tiny body convulsed once, twice, then began to move with sudden vigor. The infant's internal bioluminescence, dormant until now, ignited like a constellation coming to life. It swam in a small circle, instinctively testing its environment, and then released a high-pitched chirp of what could only be described as joy. Kelthera's mandibles dropped open. Impossible. Nah, Jack said, grinning. Just human. Over the next 3 weeks, the infant thrived in its synthetic ocean, developing exactly as Nora's research had predicted. The Kaveth delegation, when they arrived, wept with gratitude, a gesture that involved bioluminescent displays of profound emotion. They named the child Nora Chen Brightness, the first time a Kaveth had ever carried a name from another species. Dr. Kelthera filed her report with the Interstellar Medical Collective, highlighting the innovative approach. But in her private log, she wrote something more personal. Today, I learned that humans possess something we other species have optimized away in our pursuit of logic and efficiency. They call it hope. They call it stubbornness. They call it refusing to give up. Whatever its name, it saved a life today. Perhaps there is wisdom in their madness after all. In the hydrotherapy wing, Nora watched the infant swim in lazy circles, its bioluminescence painting patterns on the walls. Jack brought her coffee, a human ritual she'd insisted on maintaining even in space. You ever think about how crazy we are? Jack asked, leaning against the tank. Nora smiled, taking the cup. Every day, but crazy got that baby breathing. Humanity, fuck yeah, Jack said softly. Humanity, fuck yeah, Nora agreed. And in the water, Nora Chen Brightness danced among the stars.